Dear viewers, welcome to yet another episode of Your Life, Your Money. We are passing through a raging bull market. You see how the markets are climbing up day after the day. When bull markets rage like this, there are people in the market who start playing the dirty games. These dirty games are extremely detrimental to your financial health and to the safety of your hard-earned money. In this episode, I'm going to talk about the kind of games people play and how it can affect you. Stay till the end of this video. It's a very, very important video. This is NRI Money Clinic for you, and I'm Dr. Chandrakant, but your financial guide for a happy living.
NRI Money Clinic. No hype, just the right advice.
Dear viewers, when the bull market rages, we can see three distinct types of games which are being played in the marketplace. The game number one, I wouldn't like to call it as the game itself, is the one which is played by ethical advisors. These are the advisors. The name of the game that they play is I won't change anything because of this bull market. And they have reasons why they don't want to change. There are two other prominent games, one played by the investors. The name of the game the investors play is I want it all. It's the greedy side of the game. So they want everything. They see the stories and they decide I need a lot from this bull market. The third game which is being played in response to this game of investors wanting it all is make hay when the sun shines. And this game is played by unscrupulous elements in the market, unethical advisors, the institutions, or the wealth management desk. This is what happens. I'm risking my neck here and making known to you what kind of games people play in such markets, and you must know. Unless you know, then you will not understand what consequences will follow if you do not understand these games. Now first look at the environment of a bull market. A bull market has a peculiar environment of its own. Every day you see good news. Every day you see the markets going up. Whatever you buy, it goes up. It's a flood time. It's not an ordinary time. Floods will not be there all the time. But when the flood comes, it lifts everything up. It will lift the good things. It will lift the bad things. It will lift even the scrap material. That's the way the floods behave. And bull market is actually a flood of money passing through the stock markets. The environment makes you fall as a prey to this bull market. You see the television channels, they are all upbeat. You look at the newspaper headlines, they are all upbeat. You have party times and your friends, colleagues, relatives, neighbors, everyone talks about the kind of money that they have made. You feel I am left out. Many times you feel I'm not making enough money, and that leaves you somewhere around. You get kick-started into believing what is happening and decide I want all of this for myself, and that is where the trouble begins. And I will show how the stories will pan out during the bull market. First story will be from the ethical advisors. They don't play game, but let's give it a name. The name of the game is I will not change because of this bull market. And the ethical advisors are right. When an ethical advisor builds your portfolio, he doesn't look at a bull market or he doesn't look at a bear market. He looks at your life. He looks at your life goals. He looks at your tax situations. He looks at where you are going to retire. How much time do you have to reach your life goals? And he does a risk profiling of your case. He sets up an asset allocation. He decides where your monies have to be parked. How much should be in the fixed deposit? How much should be in fixed income? How much should be in the mutual fund? How should you design your retirement portfolio? What is your family situation? What is the situation of your spouse, children? How much of time that you will have before your retirement? All these things will be factored in by ethical advisors, and they set up a plan for you. These plans are for long term. And why should they change because of the bull market? They shouldn't be changing. They could be tweaking a little bit of an asset allocation here and there, but most of the ethical advisors will stick to the plan because they know in the long run, bull markets are not there on a daily basis. Bull markets will come like flood. They will come like sometimes suddenly a spike in the market will come and it will go, and they have to stay the course. And they are trained to do that, and they have an ethical background to make sure that your monies are kept very safe and they don't do wrong things. So the game that they play is I don't change, and they are right. If you come across an ethical advisor who is playing this game, respect him and respect his judgment and continue to deal with him the way you have dealt with him before. Let us look at the stories from investors under ethical advisors. To be fair to all, most of the investors under ethical advisors are happy investors, and they do not change, and they listen to the advice and they stick to the plans set by their ethical advisors. This happens with most of the people. I can say over 90% of the investors under ethical advisors will not have any difficulty. But the environment around is so charged up. People approaching the investors are more and more. They come with all kinds of reports. This is a time the industry on the other side, which I said will play the game of make hay when the sun shines, will know exactly who has got a good amount of assets under management under these ethical advisors. So they start approaching them. They build nice, good reports which says, our firm gave you 30%, our funds gave you 30%, our PMS gave you so much of a return, and it looks in stark contrast. Let me explain a little bit here. Let's say if your ethical advisor has built your portfolio and that portfolio is giving you 14, 15, 16% or 10, 12%, it is way above the bank rates, it's way above the inflation, and it is creating wealth for you from a long period of time. But there is somebody from the marketplace will come, presents a beautiful picture of in a report. You can make reports very attractive at any point of time, whether it is an NFO, whether it's an IPO, whether it's an individual advisor, whether it is any person who is approaching you can make beautiful reports because you don't have a capacity or an understanding of the market to challenge them why it is like this. I saw somebody from a brokerage house who comes to one of the clients and says, my funds have done 30%, 40%, and look what your advisors have done, just giving you 12, 13%. And this investor suddenly feels I'm left out, and my ethical advisor didn't work in my favor. But what these people do not understand is when they give a presentation looking at what happened in the last 1 year. You can make any presentation. In last 1 year, markets have gone through a spike of phase. If you take 1 year performance, obviously it will show 20, 30, 40, whatever could be the thing. And if you're showing the performance of small cap or a mid cap, it could be unbelievable rate of return. If you stop for a while and challenge, is it the same thing? If markets were to grow at 30%, 40% continuously year after year, where will your money can be? It behaves like a Ponzi scheme at that point of time. There is something called a rule of divide 72 with the rate of return whatever somebody is promising you or showing you, and find out how quickly the money doubles. 72 divided by, let's say somebody comes and says our funds have given 30%. So your money should double in roughly about 2.5 years, right? In 10 years, how much your money should be? If it doubles every 2.5 years, where will your money be? Is it possible? It's not possible. You should challenge this. How did it happen? Is it one-off thing? You see these kind of things beyond stock market also, and you should take parallels. Tomato prices rise, onion prices rise, every commodity price rise because of some shortage. Today everybody is coming into the stock market and chasing something called a small cap, mid cap, and they are just 30% of the whole market. 70% of the market capitalization is in the large cap. So when there is a shortage of these scripts, any money which chases it will push up the price. That's exactly what happens. And if you look at the long-term picture, let's look at 5 years return, 10 years return. See, even when you look at these returns, the 5 years and 10 years returns get altered because of the performance of last 1 year. You have to look at what happened in the marketplace. Take out the last 1 year's return, go back 1 year and see what happened in the prior 5 years, prior 10 years, prior 20 years. That will tell you the real story. You should just cut out what happened in the last 1 year and see what happened prior to that. That will tell you the real story. So remember, when somebody comes to you with a great presentation, a PPT, and he shows you will get moved and you think that he knows a lot and you know nothing. And here is somebody who came from up there to give you that kind of a wealth. Remember, neither that person knows anything about the market and your money is at risk. Please stay away from such people. If you're already working with an ethical advisor and you are approached like this and you are made to believe that's the real story, what is that you have to do? The real thing what you have to do is decency demands you talk to your advisor. You ask them, this gentleman is telling me like this. Can you evaluate this and tell me, is it right? Can I invest there? Have you made any mistakes in the placement of funds you have done? Ask him an explanation. He owes you an explanation. That's the right thing. If there is a dispute in the court because somebody made a complaint, the court will not give a ruling, right? Court will give an opportunity for the other person also to explain his case and arrives at a judgment. You should also be having a decency to ask this ethical advisor, have you done any mistake? Why the gentleman on the other side is telling that you can make so much money? Is it real? Where is the fault? Then your ethical advisor will tell you what you have done is right or wrong, why he has set up your portfolios like that, what is the mistake that is there in the projections that have been made, and he will make sure that he will give you the right picture. Once he explains, it's your money, it's your right to stay with him or to move away from him. That's the thing. But if you suddenly get lured by these kind of reports, two things will happen. One, the advisor on the other side feel left out and your own life, your own hard-earned money is put into risk here. There is also a story of people who believe in make hay when the sun shines. I'm telling about the selling side of the industry. Somebody who approaches you, an unethical advisor, a sales apparatus of a wealth management units, or from the brokerage. I wouldn't like to name any particular institution or any particular person. Yesterday, I saw one comment on my channel. I'm showing you here on the screen this one. One advisor moves the entire mutual fund portfolio of a retired person into an NFO of small caps in a raging bull market. How irresponsible it is. See, somebody has given you the money. It is his retired corpus. He is almost retired there. And you move the entire portfolio into an NFO of small caps. What if the markets were to correct? The small cap corrections will completely unnerve. The person, if he gets caught in this correction, whenever it happens, he will come and bash you up. This is not correct. And one advisor like that can bring bad reputation to the entire advisors who have delivered an yeoman service to this industry. You can't be responsible like this. And one sincere request with the investor, whether you work with an ethical advisors or an advisors or no advisor, whatever it is, you should develop a questioning mind. Ask the question why. Ask the question why not. Ask the question how much. Ask the question what can go wrong? What's the maximum damage that can happen? How can we save ourselves? Is it real? Is it one time? If it didn't happen like this, what will happen? When you start questioning these things, you will safeguard your life. And especially when you are at the other end of life, where you have finished your working, you are staring at a retirement, you are already retired, do not play around with your money. Safety of your capital becomes more important than the return on the capital. The gentleman whom I mentioned, and I show this here on the screen, also send me a personal message, and we are trying to resolve that particular issue right now. Many such games get played out. There are people who have built a nice, good, tax-free cash flows for the retirement. The guys who come and show them a presentation, ask them to close these plans. See, you have built plans which will give you tax-free income throughout your life. What business the other guys have to come and ask you to close the plan? Always suspect any advisor who tells close these plans and move somewhere else. The person has to be responsible. Let's for a moment accept that you have done a mistake by buying something. Can you make a second mistake to correct the first mistake? Whether it's a mistake of buying or mistake of closing, you calculate what is the cost. If you close the plan, what do you stand to lose? A tax-free cash flow which was promised to you throughout your life is gone when you close the plan. The taxes, even if it is 10% on a retirement corpus of 2.5-3 crores rupees, amounts to about 25-30 lakhs. Who has the right to close these plans? So doubt any advisor who comes and says, close this plan and buy a different one. It happens from insurance companies most of the times. I have seen people buy ULIP plan. They see the money being made in 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. The sellers will come and say, you have made money from this particular plan. Let's close this plan now and buy a new one. Ask them why. Why should I close this plan? Why can't I hold it for a longer period of time? How do you say that the new plan makes me money when I'm a set batsman here? All the charges of the plan have been covered and it is doing very good things for you. You shouldn't be closing this plan. The unit-linked insurance plan, guaranteed return plans are all long-term plans. You should not be closing them because the bull market is raging. If this is the story of investors who are working under ethical advisors, the story of investors without advisors will be much worse because number one, you are moved by the environment. You don't have a knowledge. You don't have an advisor. You don't have a prior experience. And the guy who approaches you to put money into any of the schemes, what they say, you can become a sitting duck in front of them. Be very careful. If you want to do, ask opinion of 2-3 people or find out from their competition what is right, what is wrong. Same thing. Ask question, slow down, don't take immediate decision. Take time. Why should you give an yes or no to anyone who approaches you immediately? Take time. Challenge things with your common sense. What does your common sense say? See, there is one thing which you have to remember. Every person, irrespective of your age, of your education, has abundant common sense. But there is a problem with common sense. The common sense works when there are no emotions. If there are emotions, common sense will go to a backseat, right? So when you are confronted with a situation of greed, that there is so much of money to be made in the stock market, it kickstarts the greed in you. This is the name of the game. So any advisor for that matter, if he kickstarts the emotion in you, the emotion is just not the greed. The emotion is also of that fear. Somebody says, oh, you may lose money in stock market, put it in a bank FD. That's also bad. And somebody says you are there to make so much of a money. Look at your friend, how much money he made. See the records here. See in 1 year, 30%, 40%. So any advisor kickstarts the emotions in you is not working in your favor. Sensible, ethical advisors will never kickstart emotions in you. Rather, they will take you through the rational thoughts, makes you understand, give you the time, explain things, follow up and move on. So one thing keep at your mind, anyone who creates the emotions in you is not your advisor. The next is the story of youngsters. Youngsters have a lot of time with them. They have a mind to inquire, research, read, watch and everything, and they derive their opinion. What youngsters do not know or have is the experience. They don't have an experience. They are made to believe so many things, so many advertisements, so many YouTube channels, so many reports which says you stand to save so much of a money by shunning advisors. You stand to save so much of a money by investing here. Cryptos, you see how many people lost money? Everybody says go direct. There's nothing wrong in going direct, but do you have the required experience or required analytical ability to go in that direction? Go by all means. There is one guy who was coming and trolling on my channel all the time, some Hinduja. He was making very nasty comments and he was telling, I am not prepared to pay one single penny for a financial advisor. Fine, my dear. You don't need to pay to anyone without your wish. That's perfectly fine. And he went on to make sermons over there, telling that I have survived a market crash. Which crash you have survived? You have survived the pandemic crash. It's not a crash. It's a reaction. First understand, market crash will not last for 2 months, 3 months. Market crashes will last for years together. They will make you completely bruised. Market crashes will come when people run out of the money. What happened in the year 2020 during the pandemic was a reaction. That is why it recovered quickly and there was a liquidity infusion. You look at what happened in the 2007-2008 market crash. Look at what happened during the dot-com bust. How people lost permanently the money. Find out when the stock markets correct, particularly the small caps correct, what is the kind of devaluation they will go through. If you know all these things, you will not make such comments. So if you are a youngster, the best thing for you is keep your minds open. right? You take your decision. Nobody will ask you to take a decision against your wish. That's your right. But keep your minds open. When you get an opinion which is contrary to your belief, see this. As an advisors, we always look at two sides of the story. If somebody says why you should buy a stock or a mutual fund, we also look at another report which says why you should sell this. And as an advisor, then we take a judgmental decision. The sell side says this, the buy side says this. Where do we think is the situation actually? And then we take the appropriate decision. So my dear friends, if you're working with ethical advisors, respect them. You are lucky to have a good advisor who takes care of you. If you are challenged, if you are approached by others and you are given another kind of a report, a folded hands request to you, have the decency to ask these advisors what the person who has approached you is telling is right or wrong, because it's not the business of that advisor is at risk. It is your life which is at risk. It is your hard-earned money which is at risk. For that advisor, if you leave and go, it doesn't affect him. It may affect him marginally. He will find other customers to fill that gap, but you have lost that advisor permanently in your life. You can't walk into his office all over again. So handle it with care. If somebody has served you for a long period of time, ask them the question and take their opinion. Respect them. That will save you during this bull market. Remember, this bull market happens because of growth, inflation, liquidity in the market, and the sentiments. Without sentiment, bull markets will not run. Sentiments are like English weather. They can change overnight. Anything can make it completely change, and the markets can come down without your knowledge. That can happen. Don't become a Tenali Ram's cat. Tenali Ram's story, the South Indians will know. The jester in the court of a king. You please search the Tenali Ram's cat story on the Google, you will understand. So if you are reckless during this bull market, have no doubts in your mind, you will become a Tenali Ram's cat. Dear viewers, I would like to ask you your opinion. Tell me, has anybody approached you? Has anybody approached you with an intention to missell, with an intention to make hay when the sun shines? If that is the case, drop your comment here and let me know what has been your experience. If this episode gave you what not to do during this bull market, then please give me a thumbs up. If you are a person who is watching my channel for the first time, or if you are yet to subscribe for the channel, please hit the subscribe button and press the bell icon. Do not forget to share these videos with your near and dear ones, friends and relatives, and on all the WhatsApp groups on which you are connected with. Thank you very much for watching this episode on NRI Money Clinic. I will see you again next week with yet another episode of Your Life, Your Money. Till then, stay safe. Jai Bharat.
Press the bell icon for more details and subscribe our channel.